Kanavi's best champion so far this split. He's 4-1 on the pick, and it's pretty consistently gone to him. Both Zoom and Yagao have only played it once. So it feels like JDG going to get themselves some early pressure in that jungle role.
We'll be giving them some early pressure, but I'm just putting it out there. We'll see if they do want to give it to Kanavi for the Lee Sin. The Shaco is still available, could flex it to a solo lane, and of course, Pill still pick that one up. Has not been banned away, but we'll wait and see what JDG decide to do. But you pick the Lee Sin, you lose the Viego, and of course the Xin Zhao. So good skirmishing power here from BLG on the top half of the map.
Yeah, and now for JDG, the fact that the Thresh has finally been taken away means that you have to go back to a different bot laner, right? Because we've been seeing the Aphelios Thresh pretty much every single game for JDG. Going to be picking up the Kalista this time around. I'm more interested to see where JDG go with their solo lane. So already locking in the Sylas, but I want to see where they go with top. We know the Lee Sin's a flex pick. They're going to leave it for that, but for Zoom, if he doesn't want to pick up the Lee Sin, which he has only played once, you don't really have any AP options available to try and insert with that one. I feel like we've still mostly just seen Zoom default to tanks. Maybe something like the Sett is possible. You can play that to the Viego and just try to survive. Things like the Dr. Mundo are always possible as well. Renekton also, something we highlighted that has been left through, is something that Zoom started to gravitate towards later on in 2020, but for JDG so far, a lot of early game power, a lot of skirmishing coming out to where I feel like BLG thus far have definitely set themselves up for a better end of the scaling. They do have more range to play off of with the Ezreal as well. You're gonna have the resets coming in later on in teamfights with the Viego, so a bit of a power disparity coming in so far.
We'll see now the supports being hit as JDG back away from the Braum. The Rakan was banned away as well. We might see the Nautilus and maybe the Leona from both sides. And if we do see both of those bans come in, I am curious to see what we're left with. Of course, LvMao always has the Bard in the back pocket. Arguably one of the best Bard players in the world. And, you know, I really can't think of many other people in my list who I would put onto that. But Nautilus now banned away. What do you go with here for JDG?
You know, just real quick, I feel like you might have the two best Bard players in the LPL in this match, right?
Yes.
Like, ppgod also, the one thing you can't disrespect ppgod for is his Bard, definitely an incredible pick, but the Nautilus taken away means the Leona still being left up, so both supports not being taken away, so we're actually going to be looking more at JDG with where they want to go for their support pick. You do still have things like the Rel open, but I feel like BLG have a lot of mobility and a lot of ways to get away from something like a Magnet Storm. We've actually seen LvMao be one of the people to bring out things like the Sett and the Gragas still, but I feel like both of those feel a little bit weird. I'd like the Sett, but the Gragas don't really need any disengage. You need to be looking for the engage coming through. So for JDG, they are just going to end up blocking in that one. And now I feel like it's the time to see, hey, where is this Lee Sin going to end up? We already highlighted it's mostly been a Kanavi pick. It is his most played jungler thus far. And Zoom going to be bringing out the Camille. 100% win rate so far this split, Penguin.
Yeah, results-based analysis does dictate that Zoom is in fact good at Camille as we look towards what the side of BLG want to use as a response to that. The Kennen is something that has not been in the meta for a little while now, a couple of patches since that little Yordle has been here, but does fit a lot of what BLG want to do. Need an AP carry, and they are locking it in. So nice team fighting here from BLG.
Yeah, really interesting pick coming out from BLG, and I mean, heck, these are one of the dimensions you want to show if you want to be able to pick up a surprise win here today, right? Being able to pull something out to catch the enemy team off guard. They did need AP, like you highlighted, extremely strong team fighter coming in. We know also pretty good laning phase as well. Kennen always been a bit of a lane bully. And it definitely feels like BLG have set themselves up for 5v5s. One thing Kennen's great at as well is dissuading divers, because you jump in, he just pops the Slicing Maelstrom, and then you're just going to be in a position where numerous members of your team are able to get stunned and locked down. So for BLG, tons of 5v5 teamfight power coming out. For JDG, I feel like it is more skirmish heavy, more about looking for picks, more about trying to find those individual outplays.
Both comps locked and loaded. Both teams hungry for a win in this series. Will be a big scalp going towards playoffs. Neither side willing to give an inch. We'll see exactly how it all plays out as we jump straight onto the Rift. And I'm going to be keeping a very, very keen eye on that mid lane. We highlighted it before we came into the series. I want to see now how Zeka and Yagao are able to utilize their respective picks and make influence around the map.
Yeah, that's going to be the big question, right? And I feel like if we're talking about some of the conditions we hit on coming into the day, it's like, hey, we have for BLG, you have aiming on the Ezreal, so something that he is able to take over the game on. You do have things like the Viego coming out in mid lane, so hopefully Zeka able to find some kind of influence, and especially linking up with the bot lane. You have a roaming support in the Leona. And then for JDG, it's actually not the same style of, hey, enabling Kanavi to be the carry. Kanavi going back to that really heavy pressuring early game style, going to be focusing on his lanes. And especially I feel like linking up with your mid laner and setting up for Loken and LvMao to be the ones doing well. Because when you have a Kalista, I feel like you really want to be all in on trying to get her through the laning phase. Camille is a very self-sufficient top laner. Does have the Ignite this time, so showing he wants to be aggressive. But with that hook shot, wall shot, if WeiWei ever committed towards the top side gank, Zoom would be able to get out unscathed, you know, barring plays it well, has the vision necessary.
The Gyos and the signs of the crowd. Always good to have a live crowd. We don't hear them, but you at home do, and that's all that really matters as we jump onto the Rift. Look like both junglers going to be mirroring their own start. Kanavi starting on the red with WeiWei onto the blue, and we'll see exactly what way these junglers are able to influence. Kanavi has been incredibly good at getting early game advantages for JDG, creative pathing, and also just being a nuisance, finding himself behind top side. So if he's able to make that work for him in top lane, specifically against something like a Kennen, put that Kennen into a hole, it could be huge for the side of JDG.
Yeah, definitely can be. And, you know, coming to this, I feel like the big thing we need to keep our eye on is this top lane matchup. Not something we've seen in a while. Kennen's going to have early pressure. You're ranged into melee. I feel like quickly, though, this does switch over to being quite fine for Camille. Once you hit level 3, you have access to your full combo. You're able to look for those all-ins. I feel like it is quite hard for Kennen to kite it out even with his E. And then at level 6, if you're able to call up your jungler, Hextech Ultimatum, you bring Kanavi in. Sure, you have the Slicing Maelstrom, but the damage should be there. I feel like we have potential to see a lot of crazy 2v2s up in topside, right? A lot of AoE, a lot of lockdown on both sides.
Yeah, both sides will be angling towards that as we wait to see now what way the junglers do want to go. Zeka did not drop a ward into the Raptors of Kanavi, so just decided opting towards that river ward instead to make sure they have full vision if he does go for a mid lane invade or a top side invade of any sorts. And now we'll see, with the level 3s being hit in this top side, what can either of these top laners do with the priority they've been given?
Yeah, and for BLG, I think it should definitely open up for a topside scuttle, right? You have pushing mid, you have pushing top. BiuBiu especially doing quite good, to where Kanavi probably going to have to wrap back down towards his bottom lane. Loken and LvMao are the ones who have pushed right now. They're doing a pretty decent job at just being able to control this wave. It's what we'd expect, right? Hail Blades, Kalista, you're up against an Ezreal. You also have a Sett who is an incredible early skirmisher. And that's what's going to happen. BLG getting themselves a topside scuttle, might even just be able to path through mid if they want and try to just quickly force that one out, unless LvMao and Loken just go and try and take that one right away. And that actually might be the play, though looks like only going to be a ward coming out from LvMao. Actually, not even a ward. He's actually just going to check if WeiWei's there.
Just seeing if there was a Zhao, not really committing fully to popping down the ward. Actually didn't have a ward to pop down just yet, so still waiting for that cooldown to come back. And I think it was just smart from WeiWei to recognize he doesn't have bot lane priority. He doesn't need to overforce it, so takes his scuttle top side, takes away his Krugs, and gets himself back on even footing against the Lee Sin. But now Kanavi, we see this from junglers a lot. It is just generally a quick ward as you assume the enemy jungler's on the opposite side, and you just pop down the ward and you try to go for the reset. But Kanavi is now in this mid lane. This wave is pushing up into the into the JDG side, so Zeka might have to put himself in a little bit of a bad position, and ooh, everything misses, and Kanavi just kind of wastes a little bit of time.
I mean, it's another reason why the Viego into Sylas matchup, I feel like, is just so nice for the Viego, right? Not only do you have early pressure, early prio, you don't use mana, so it's very easy to just keep spamming in the wave, but You have tools to be able to dodge out on skill shots, which is what Sylas needs to land, needs to hit the Abscond Duct, as LvMao finds the E, but going to be a little bit of damage coming out. For JDG, right, we're seeing this bot lane pressure come out really be the only point they can play around. I'd love to see JDG be a team to walk into bottom lane, get some deep vision, maybe play around a potential like blue buff respawn coming out, or even just playing with Fog of War to try and release the burden from Yagao. I guess you don't expect too much as Zeka from like a Sett roam coming out very early on for the side of JDG, so feels like it would mostly be about contesting enemy jungle camps for the side of JD Gaming.
Speaking of contesting enemy jungle camps, BLG's WeiWei snuck himself in now towards this top half of the map. There will be wolves, or not wolves, sorry, Gromp spawning now, as he's going to be able to see that, so he will be able to steal at least one camp away, but recognizes with the ward that there's going to be a Kanavi walking in front of him. But was he spotted? That is the question. I think WeiWei is just happy enough playing Solid Snake here, some Metal Gear Solid, and getting himself out undetected.
I don't think WeiWei spotted Kanavi, right? Because heck, WeiWei's the one with.
He definitely did, because there's a ward.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, definitely.
He walked through the red. I was gonna say because you're the one with top and mid prio, so I don't feel like WeiWei should feel any threat from looking for any potential skirmishes. Zoom was going for the recall, so maybe feeling like, hey, gonna TP in with more items. You don't have time as BiuBiu to look for the reset, so instead wanting to opt out of that one. But we've had a really chill 6 minutes. And it makes me feel uneasy, Penguin.
I don't know, man. I think I need something chill. Ireland's been heating up right now. It's like 30 degrees, which is unheard of for a pasty white man like myself. It's not pleasant. Maximum I can do is probably 2 days of 22 degrees and then back to the rain. So I'm enjoying the chill vibes of the moment from BLG and JDG. I feel like it's it's what I need to cool myself down.
I definitely need that more than you. I, do live in the desert. There are cacti everywhere, which, if you didn't know, because I feel like a lot of people probably don't know that cacti is the plural of cactus, as you at home are wondering, what are these casters saying? There's a hype match between JDG and BLG on my screen. Please break down the game for us. But sadly, we just haven't seen too much. We've seen trade sides.
I was going to say, what's there to break down?
I mean, to be fair, right, we have been seeing teams commit to opposite sides, where BLG coming out with the deep aggressive vision on top side. We're finally seeing what we hit on earlier, right, that this is the avenue where JDG can contest. We wanted to see them contest this early blue buff.
They're going to go for it. There's going to be a nice E, though. Facebreaker is beautifully set up for Kanavi to take off the first blood. And with Yagao having priority in that mid lane, it means there is no response here for BLG.
I'm just happy, Penguin. I'm just happy. We wanted to see the second blue buff contest coming out. You have early prio. You've made it so that BLG weren't able to find anything on the top side, though they didn't really look for it, to be fair. And now you're the team finding an advantage on the bottom half of the map. They're going to keep trading through this one. JDG now, I think, should be able to look for that dragon. They just hard pushed in the bottom lane, so going to be able to pick up this one. They have the Kalista, so stacking these nice and early feels good. Also, you're taking a cloud, so maybe going to get a more aggressive, more potentially fiery soul coming on the Rift later on.
A less chill soul is what you're saying. Oh, no fire soul for you. It's going to be Infernal next. So we'll either get a mountain or an ocean as we move back on towards how this game is kind of going. And slowly but surely, JDG are picking themselves up about just under 1,000 gold lead. They are the ones that feel like they're in control. You can see now, like you mentioned, once you hit to those later levels, Zoom is totally comfortable against this Kennen. It's not really going to be much of a difference for them to go up to this. And a nice little ward here that is being cleared by WeiWei will keep Zoom nice and safe, but they might just use this opportunity to get a quick little reset in and go for that Rift Herald.
Yep, going to make their way down. They are the team who've had consistent topside vision, so wouldn't be too surprising, but we are seeing BiuBiu go for a reset right now, so not going to opt into that one. One thing is, right, JDG, despite not having prio and pressure up in top and mid, since they do have pressure in bottom lane, they can be the team to rotate their bottom lane over first. But BLG actually saying they don't care. They don't care if they're the ones who get pushed in. They actually just completely leave lane because Loken and LvMao were waiting in a brush, trying to make a cheeky play, trying to make BLG think they were roaming over, but BLG didn't fall for it, and they're going to just get a Rift Herald for free.
Yeah, and that was just a really nice use there by BiuBiu, recognizing he had a TP advantage. He could just use it to get himself back up into that top side, get pressure onto the mid lane, or sorry, onto the Rift Herald, while not losing anything in top. So, nice recognition there from the top laner of BLG, as they now see both sides recognizing that BLG own the top half and JDG own the bottom, and we'll see how they're able to change that power dynamic in the coming minutes.
It also goes completely against everything we said about 15 minutes ago.
Yeah.
BLG. I mean, to be fair, JDG are following the plan, right? All in on just playing the bots.
That was so good. He waited to the last second of the hook shot, wall shot, and cancelled the animation with the stun. Beautifully done by BiuBiu. And with Zoom having no flash, he has nowhere to go. And that is a nice kill there by BLG.
I mean, he just plays it right. I mean, you're bringing your jungle up, so you really have no reason to go for the stun preemptively. So nice foresight coming out from BiuBiu. They have the damage down. They even still have the Rift Herald, so can try and get some more gold if they please. But WeiWei gonna make his way down towards the bottom side instead, as ppgod looks like he might be caught out, but considering LvMao is all by himself, it's not gonna turn into anything.
It's still 2.5 minutes as well till this dragon spawns, so no immediate objective here for the side of JDG, but Kanavi wants this Grump. There is, however, quite a few members of BLG hovering around. No TP for either top laner just yet. The Grump has been taken, and now ppgod just trying to avoid all these different skill shots to get himself back into lane and join back up with aiming.
And for BLG, we're just keeping our eyes now right on where this Herald will be used. The only place you've taken a plate is the top side of the map. Your bottom lane's still in no place where they should be able to get pressure by themselves. Sure, WeiWei can potentially set himself up for a gank, but for the fact that JDG have controlled bottom side, you know they should have vision. As we're going to get the pro view replay, has the ward in the brush, knows it Zoom's there, throws out the Q, is getting the hits to the passive as well. And actually got the stun blind, just knowing that, you know, Zoom would be looking for that hook shot, wall shot to come out, and they're able to secure the kill with the slicing maelstrom and WeiWei coming in.
Beautiful play there from BiuBiu. Didn't even have to commit his flash, so nothing wasted in that engagement. And nice kill going over to WeiWei, so they equal out that. And it's still only about 1,000 gold lead for JDG, so still doing very well on that front. Minute and 10 seconds until Dragon, excuse me. So we now see Kanavi up in this top side, just shadowing to see if WeiWei is here. There's a lot of pings coming down. No way they can really kind of come back onto this, but Kanavi knows the slicing maelstrom is probably just coming up now, so Kanavi is still here to make sure that WeiWei doesn't get his way now with BiuBiu.
Yeah, and JDG got to be a little bit careful. I like Kanavi being up towards the top side right now for the fact that Dragon isn't up, enemy blue buff isn't up, so you really don't have any plays to make on the opposite side of the map just yet. And you know BLG have Herald, and we were hitting on how dropping Herald bot doesn't really make a lot of sense. You can try and find an opportunity mid if you roam BiuBiu down, but I feel like BLG would want to set up for it top, so send Kanavi up towards top side. Don't let any play like that come out just yet, and then start pathing him towards the bottom side. Enemy buffs are up, your red buff is up, Dragon will be up shortly, as WeiWei now just gonna opt into dropping it mid with the fact that, you know, they weren't able to find anything top side, and they should be able to get this scot-free. And Dragon's coming up, Penguin. It all works out.
It all works out, but this feels a bit disjointed from BLG because there's important to note that Zoom has TP where BiuBiu doesn't, so there is actually a potential of a 5v4 in favor of JDG should BLG look to contest around this Dragon. And with the Rift Herald going down in mid lane, it looks like that's what they want to do. They need another about minute or so before they can get that TP back up onto BiuBiu, and now you can see him roaming down. He knows he needs to get himself into this bot side because they've committed so much to trying to defend this.
Yeah, and we see BiuBiu has push, so it doesn't matter that BiuBiu doesn't have TP advantage. BiuBiu's already making his way down, so we can potentially get a 5v5 here. Kanavi gonna peel off the Drake.
Oh, Kanavi goes in, gets the kickback. TP gonna be coming off the back of this as well as Kanavi gets himself over the wall. Both flashes from both junglers have been used, but now both junglers are dead. The slicing maelstrom only hits onto two as Zoom now finds himself with the hexagon made him on top of WeiWei. Keeps himself safe, flash forward from Yagao, gets the abstondent gun and the showstopper to start us all off. We're going to see the True Shot Barrage doing enough damage to maybe dissuade a dive, but not enough to keep BLG in the fight. They lose 2, only gain 1, and it's going to be JDG getting the Dragon.
Yeah, JDG, I mean, Kanavi starting it off, and this goes back to what we said, right? JDG only go forward because Kanavi peels off the Drake, but peels off the Drake into engaging onto BLG, able to get 2 kills. I'm sure we're going to get the replay of that one. Doesn't matter that their smite is down because they have a Kalista, so the Ren going to be able to secure that one. Mountain Soul on the Rift. And here we go, lands the Q, goes straight into the E, ward jumps in for the kick, flashes over the wall. It's going to wait for his Q to come back up, and is able to finish off Zeka with it. Really clean mechanics coming out from Kanavi. Zoom comes into the teleport, Hextech ultimatum sets up for the next engage, and then Yagao flashing W into E, getting that last kill available. And sure, you get one back onto Kanavi because pretty much did throw away his life to find that initial kill, but like you said, you get an extra kill, you get the neutral objective coming in, and I don't think Zoom lost top wave. I could be wrong, but I know the wave was in a position where it was next to BiuBiu's turret, but BiuBiu did go back up the top lane relatively early. BiuBiu is up about 15, 16 CS right now, so still does have a bit of a lead.
So there's a bit of a lead. Kanavi is onto the top side again, just shadowing Zoom, trying to see if he can punish BiuBiu. But now BiuBiu has himself a teleport advantage. So this is the weird moment we see where if you don't match teleport for teleport, you end up in this weird half, like every 2.5 minutes, someone else has an advantage. So we'll see what BLG are able to do with it, if anything at all, as the rest of JDG now find themselves in mid lane. It will be a 4v3 if they want to take it. The Sylas has been sent to deal with the Kennen. It looks like it's going to be a little bit of a separate lane allocation now for JDG. They recognize that the Camille just can't really do much into this matchup. There's not enough kill threat, but there definitely is kill threat onto the Viego.
I feel like the bigger thing is, yeah, BLG, with the way their lanes are set up, with Zeka coming out of base, just wanting to send him bot to match because he does have teleport, can come up here if needed, but Zoom making the move already because he doesn't have teleport like you talked about. So JDG actually just going to start this one off. BLG going to try and punish by denying some waves in the XP down in bot lane so he could try and get some damage down onto that one. As BLG can start shifting down towards bottom side right now and trying to get some vision down to potentially have about a 15-second window to punish Zoom in that bottom lane. But for JDG, the fact you get Herald I think feels really nice. And going to be able to move back mid in time to dissuade BLG from getting any more damage down onto that turret.
And no more damage onto the mid lane, but bot lane taken down to about half HP. It's going to be Zoom left down in the bot side to try and deal with this, but doesn't look like he wants anything to do with it, as he's just going to try and take away the Krug. So yes, you lose the Rift Herald, but BLG making a smart macro move and saying, look, it doesn't matter, we just don't have to contest it, we can still take the bot tier 1. And that is the first turret of the game going down at 17 minutes and 25 seconds. It is a late time for that turret to be going down. Both sides fairly even on gold. The only real difference has been those neutral objectives for JDG.
Yeah, it's you know, this isn't too weird for BLG. BLG have become one of the, I don't want to use the term slower, but BLG have become a team that I think prey a lot on enemy mistakes to be able to find their openings. If they do draft aggressive, strong 2v2 bot lanes, like if we see BLG pull out the Kalista, that is typically an area where they'll look for advantages. But if not, BLG have been a team that have been happy to just stack up neutrals and look for team fights later on. JDG have actually been the opposite. JDG have been the much more aggressive team in the early parts of the game. I feel like one big jump we see from previous splits is before Kanavi would actually look for a lot of early ganks around Zoom, but this split that has not been the case at all. It has been much more about Kanavi and Yagao linking up in that first 15 minutes and then trying to link up with LvMao and look for those jungle invades. So very different look for JDG this game, but hey, they have just been able to stack up dragons for free so far. Next one's up in a minute, and they're already setting up for Zoom to get pressure down in that bottom side. So could be an easy avenue in for JDG to get vision control back of the bottom half of the map.
Be careful though, Zeka has got himself a Divine Sunderer and the Executioner's Calling, so he's going to be able to mitigate a lot of that healing that will come out from anyone really on the side of JDG. And now what do you do if you're BLG? You have pressure on top side, there is TPs across the board and summoners all available. No stopwatch is picked up by pretty much anybody at this stage. This could be a 30 seconds time, a big shift in momentum for whoever can pick up this fight.
I feel like a big thing we can see is how JDG look for the engage, right? Because actually, if you coordinate the engage when BiuBiu's around, BiuBiu's going to be getting a lot of benefit out of the slicing Maelstrom, right? Multiple targets funneling in, multiple people to get damage down on and find stuns onto. So for JDG, I want to see how they look for the play. They use the Rift Herald to guarantee Prio to be able to walk into the river and control vision. They do have a great turn. They do have tons of engage angles, and Yagao's going to play off to the side and play a bit of a flank.
Here we go. Teleport is being channeled. 2,800 onto the Dragon as they're trying to just get this one there. Solar Flare does not really land onto anybody, but there's a slicing Maelstrom immediately brought back into the pit, but the jungler for JDG is dead. That means BLG pick up that objective, and it's just going to be Sett in this side trying to pick up a kill, but will not get it. Eventually, the Kennen will fall, but it's a 2 for 1 in favor of BLG, and most importantly, they got the Dragon.
Yeah, that one is massive for them. They're even going to be able to turn it into a mid lane turret. They should be able to get more vision down in topside, control the Scuttle Crab. Just so much for BLG to gain off of this play. WeiWei coming in with a really good engage, doing some great damage. And it didn't even matter that, you know, you sent the Slicing Maelstrom in another direction. Still, BiuBiu able to do a lot of work. And these are the types of team fights that BLG thrive in. These close quarter, close spaces where you do have a lot of AoE damage. You have people setting up Zeka to find the resets. And we're going to get the full-on replay now. They bring BiuBiu in. Zeka the one to start off, WeiWei following up. And sure, the showstopper brings Kennen away, but you just brought him away actually towards Kanavi. WeiWei also able to do a massive amount for that one. And LvMao tries to flash to hit the showstopper onto BiuBiu. He actually does. I'm not sure if he also ignited, but is able to end up securing that kill in the end, so you get one back, but it doesn't mean all too much at the end of the day.
I think the big problem with that disengaging showstopper was that your Camille and Kalista were already walking backwards. They were out of the fight, so the job had been done by this Kennen to get the flashes out, get the mobility out of these characters, and this is where BLG feel they're most comfortable. You've got aiming stacking up very, very nicely already on the 2 items. You've got yourself the Kennen for the big team fight engage, and this feels a lot more like it could be leaning towards BLG. They're now 1,000 gold, or just a little bit under it, in the ascendancy. They're the ones that are picking up and deciding when we go for these fights. And for JDG, again, we love to talk about Kanavi being a great innovator, looking for early game skirmishes, but he just hasn't found them again.
And for JDG, I feel like it's going to be a lot harder to find the fights that you want, because typically when you have compositions like this, right, you're banking on the fact that you do have a Hextech ultimatum, so you are able to get onto the primary target that you want, lock them down, burst them out right away. But for Zoom, as long as BiuBiu has that slicing Maelstrom up, it just feels like it's going to be really rough. And not to mention, right, we're pretty much harping on the Kennen because it is such an exciting and new pick, but even a lot of your other tools deal with Camille quite well, to where you have a Leona, you have a Zhao, they're able to get in and disrupt you from being able to really do anything to aiming. Aiming already having his own self-peel tools as well, so I do favor BLG's 5v5 coming out. We also hit on how there's a lot of easy ways to set up for the resets coming out from Zeka, but JDG going to keep using this side pressure they do have. That's something that they will be able to rely on pretty consistently, with the fact that they are up against the Kennen. Kennen, you know, when he goes AP, is just pretty much all indexed into team fighting. You don't have any pressure in that 1v1 by yourself, to where JDG do have 2 side laners. Sure, Viego is stronger right now than the Camille, but for JDG, they're just going to play around the side of the map where that Kennen is.
I start to feel a little bit worried here for JDG. You can see already aiming is not afraid to walk forward. Already has that Glacial Shroud moving towards his Frozen Heart and can just eat aggressively onto LvMao and Loken, knowing that there's not really a lot they can do about it. We are going to see, though, aiming try and get himself away. WeiWei does not have flash, and it's Loken just kind of pushing him down. Nicely done, though, and the wind becomes lightning to keep himself safe. But step a little bit too far forward and you will get your hands caught in the cookie jar.
And it's one of those things where JDG gave up a wave topside. You can see it now crashing into turret to be able to look for that play, because BiuBiu doesn't have TP, isn't able to follow up, so BLG know they can't turn, they can't look for anything in the response. They just need to give and be okay with what JDG lose in terms of tempo for making that play, and in terms of the EXP and gold on the minions. And lucky for WeiWei, didn't even need to burn a flash, so didn't really lose all too much. Next dragon in 45 seconds, that's what BLG were really waiting for. BiuBiu's going to lose a wave up top for opting into such an early reset. But for BLG, I feel like things like that don't matter too much. It's all about getting on the objective first. As actually pings are coming out towards top side for WeiWei.
A couple of top side pings, but this time around they do end up moving back in towards this dragon pit. 20 seconds till that spawns. It is a pretty much dead even gold, about 800 here or there. Zhonya's here for Yagao, as well as a stopwatch for BiuBiu. Did not have that in the last fight. ppgod aggressively posturing forward, trying to get the vision control. But BLG, they might say, look, you're a little bit too early for this. As I say that, WeiWei jumps straight in onto Yagao, and Yagao might be in a little bit of trouble. Good Everfrost lands on the 3, but nobody's there to really kind of combine onto it. There is the slicing maelstrom down onto 3 people, and now JDG have to run for the hills. They lose the Kalista, the Camille, they lose the Sett as well. It's on Yagao. Yagao has to be the hero. He picks up one more, but I don't think he's going to be able to get anything else. BLG decimate JDG in the fight and can turn around for the Baron.
And I'm going to need to see that one again, Penguin, because I'm not really quite sure what's up with the showstoppers coming out from LvMao, but again, it looked like the members of JDG were funneling towards one side, and LvMao just continued to bring the Kennen towards them. BiuBiu, massive ultimate. We did see a pretty good Everfrost from Yagao. It looked like, hey, maybe there's ways JDG can set this up to find the turn, but WeiWei with the engage, BiuBiu with the ultimate, and then Zeka aiming with the follow-up. Able to cement the team fight. 2K gold lead coming up from them, actually up to 4K now, and also picking themselves up the Baron. We're gonna go right into the replay. WeiWei finding the engage. They're gonna commit, but really nice Everfrost. Now keep your eyes on BiuBiu. He's gonna be the one to follow up. Does flash in immediately.
No.
And yeah, I mean, to be fair, there was really no other way you could take him as a LvMao. You would have had to flash in the other direction and ult him out, but we come right out of the replay into a fight.
We do indeed. ppgod goes golden as he tries to get the engage, and the Camille is dead. Zoom is no longer here. Yagao trying to go in with the stolen slicing maelstrom, but this Leona is still hunting, still pushing. ppgod heard you chatting about him and saying he hasn't been having a great split. He's having a great game now for the side of BLG, and now with Baron, with another 4-for-1 team fight in favor of BLG, they'll take the dragon, and they're just going to own the map.
Yeah, and you know, Penguin, right before break ended, you told me you thought BLG were gonna win, and I said
did.
no way. And
you told me to say it on broadcast, and I wasn't brave enough. I did not have enough faith.
You weren't, but you know, here I am to give you credit where credit is due, even with your cowardice in the eyes of the people. But you know, you were right, and here's the public apology. But BLG now 6K gold up. I mean, I feel like especially their top side is a phenomenal performance, but BLG just really knowing how to play out their composition. I feel like the drafting especially was really good. I really like the Kennen pick coming out and how we've seen it utilized so far. I take back what I said, the more... Oh, they're going to find the engage.
Not quite yet. BiuBiu hasn't gone in with the slicing maelstrom, but they almost take out LvMao without having to invest pretty much anything. They have to use the Fate's Call just to keep him alive, but that is inhibitor cracked open in the bot side. This is a perfect inhibitor for BLG. It gives you so much pressure around the top side of the match, which is where all the turrets are left for the side of JDG. Oh, I'm saying that. We're going to see
the engage.
They found an engage. It's aiming, gets jumped on by the Hexacle Domain, and Kanavi are going to try and go in on top of it, but there is the Slicing Maelstrom trying to just kill off everybody here. You can see BiuBiu going back out of his golden stasis, but now with Zeka still alive and having so much utility, can he get the resets? He's gotten 2. But can he get any more? He goes back in, trying to see if he can get it. There's going to be a bit of a scrap in the middle of all this. It's going to be a triple kill, but nothing more than that. They're not going to give him over the penta, but it will be a 5-for-4 exchange. Loken, the only man left standing. JDG won, but I don't think they're going to feel like a victory after this.
Man, that was so close, though, right? Like, we saw Zeka almost be able to get a reset off. He was just about to pick the soul, but yeah, you're right. Just really nice pick coming out from the side of JDG. Yagao especially. It's going to set up to where they do have numbers advantage at first going into the skirmish. And the other members just being caught off guard. Zeka does get this reset, though. It is a 3v2. There are some tanky members up on the side of JDG, Sylas, and Sett. They're going to go in, and it looks like they have it. Have a ton of AoE damage coming out on both sides, but Loken just able to get him before he's able to really proc the soul and start getting that invulnerability and the healing coming out. And then Loken able to turn it around when it is only ppgod left. Like you said, they get the win, but the fact that there isn't any objective or vision or any control that they're able to turn it into, it actually doesn't really mean too much for JDG, other than it bought them, you know, about a minute of breathing room. So it's not the end of the world. It's a team like JDG where you're going to hope you can find another pick like that to come back in. I feel like time is still a valuable resource.
Time and also the golden shutdowns you're able to garner for yourself. So you got a lot of gold going, tons of money, 5 kills worth of money going back into your pocket is always a nice feeling, and we'll see exactly how they're able to kind of bring it back, because it was about a 7,000 gold lead, now it's only about a 5,000, so they did make back a nice 2,000 chunk, but that bot lane pushing against them. Now we can talk about what I was going to say with BLG getting that bot lane inhibitor does open up this top side for them to really siege down upon, and with the later this game goes, you can see this Ezreal really starting to hurt people with his Mystic shots. Look at that, 1 Q, and Kanavi has to be very careful with how far forward he goes.
No, and for JDG, right? I mean, you look at your options. We talked about the Hextech ultimatum and the ways BLG can play around that. Kanavi can always look for some sort of war jump play into a fight, but doesn't have flash available. That really only leaves Loken maybe throwing in LvMao, but that one feels weird, right? Typically you want to engage as support first and save that Kalista ultimate to pull them out of the fray or look for a re-engage afterwards. So it feels like JDG, understanding all this, hey, we actually don't have a way of even looking for a scrap right now. Just going to give this one up on the top side. Going to keep clearing out minions on the opposite side of the map because they also did lose their inhibitor down in bot, so Zoom having to deal with supers. And BLG just going to play this next couple minutes pretty patiently. Baron's going to come up soon, so they're going to have a way to pull JDG out of their base. And then JDG really going to feel the pressure from the supers and bot side when they're going to be pulled across the map.
Not only that, but just looking at the Mountain Soul, it's such a good soul for BLG because the extra armor and magic resistance you garner, if you're able to get soul off it as well, the extra shielding makes it so difficult for someone like Loken to maybe even time the Ren, to know if you can go for the execute. Of course, to burst anybody down becomes even harder as well. So JDG running out of options. They are still in this game though, and we've seen with the Kanavi and Camille combination, they have such good ways of getting themselves on top of the priority carries. Now, aiming still without flash, but pretty much everything else on board here for the side of BLG. The TP going to be coming in as well. There's BiuBiu feeling feisty as Zeka just says hello to Yagao, who comes straight in and steals away a Kennen slicing Maelstrom. That's important for Yagao if he wants to try and have an impact in this fight.
Yeah, and, you know, let's remember Sylas honestly uses a lot of ultimates better than most champions. I feel like this is another one where Sylas does quite well because you have a way to get on top of enemy champions. Abscond Abduct going to be great if he can get onto that backline. The problem is a lot of BLG's champions actually want to be running forward at you and aiming. About to have his flash up, does have heal.
Here we go, it's a perfect combination of the slicing Maelstrom into the showstopper, but they haven't taken down any kills yet. Yagao found the flank, but can they get any more of these kills? You can see that aiming is still alive, aiming is still doing work, as is Zeka, and now Loken cannot escape from the heartbreak. That is going to be BLG taking this team fight. Yagao and LvMao had such a great combo, but it just wasn't enough, and I think BLG can just push in and take the game.
Yeah, BLG, I mean, BLG have been a topsy-turbulent team recently. Taking down a team like JDG, who are sitting 1 win above you, would be absolutely massive. And all their members showed up. Can Yagao show up? Can Yagao do what Knight did only a few weeks ago? Looks a bit rough, Penguin.
I don't know if he can. He's got himself the Sinzar ultimate to try and separate everybody out, but you can see they're just jumping in on top of him, and that is the ace finally coming in for BLG. They will take this first game away from JDG and put themselves in prime position to give themselves a nice 2-0 in the standings today. Great game for BLG.
BLG just, I mean, coming out with a really interesting draft, bringing up the Kennen, which feels like it really does so much work against all the champions that JDG picked, right? We saw what happened when they funnel into this team fight. They're very short-range composition. They're going to be looking for engages. And yeah, BiuBiu did a great job of canceling that out. It feels like WeiWei as well. WeiWei was the primary engager in most of these fights, which is crazy when you also ppgod on the Leona, but it feels like WeiWei was really the one finding the angles to get BLG in. And we saw that JDG's comp never had a way of locking down locking down aiming either. Aiming was able to do whatever he wanted on the backside of the fights. And when you have all this AoE damage on the top side of the map from your Kennen, getting health bars low, you have a true shot barrage coming up from your Ezreal, you know the happiest person on the Rift is then Zeka on the Viego. You know, you just press R, everyone's already low, you already get the reset.
Honestly, such a great fight there from aiming. You can see Zoom jumps on top of him in that last team fight, but because he's already got the Frozen Heart, he's already got himself to a tanky enough build, Zoom can't kill him. There's nothing in the world that will be able to take him down 1v1, so I'm not locked in here with you, you're locked in here with me, and then when you take away that big AoE, you know, damage, I suppose, with the Ravenous Hydra auto attacks coming in from Zoom, it just doesn't really have enough in the tank here for the side of JDG, and BLG just played the fights really, really well. I think the early game went very well for them. They kept in tow, they knew what they could and couldn't do, and were able to just capitalize on much better team fights.
Yeah, and you know, it just came from where JDG not able to find the opportunities available to them because BLG had topside pressure the whole time. JDG tried to do what they could, right? They had the Kalista set in bottom lane, so they did invade things like the blue buff when we talked about. They were trying to stack up dragons. But at the end of the day, BLG were able to get ahead in gold from their pryos and topside, and then they got to a point where they were able to transition into these full 5v5s, and their comp really just worked out for them. So for BLG, if they could secure a 2-0, again, I think that is massive when we are talking so much about playoffs recently, with the fact that we have so many teams sitting on 6 wins. Every win matters so much, and any win over a team that is above you, I feel like it is a godsend, is the most important and most valuable thing you can get right now. So yeah, BLG, a ton of momentum going into game 2.
We'll see if they're able to continue that momentum or if JDG have something up their sleeve to say something about it. We're going to send it to a quick break, and when we return, game 2 picks and bans.